Everyone, my name is Sayed. Today we're going to start IGCSE ICT, Information and Communication Technology. This is the lesson one. With this lesson, we'll discuss different types of digital devices and different features of those digital devices and how they work. Let's begin the class. The first question that comes to our mind is, what are digital devices? Digital devices are pieces of hardware that use computer or microcontrollers. The purpose of digital devices is to enhance our everyday life. For example, you can think of the laptop, phones, printers, etc. These devices work together to give us things we need anywhere or anytime. Now let's talk about the different types of digital devices. The first digital device we're going to discuss is called computers. Before we discuss computer, let's talk about what are the microprocessor. A microprocessor is the main component of every computer system. A microprocessor is a device that controls what a computer does. It takes data as input, does something with it, and provides the output. Basically, it takes the input, process it, and then give us the output using the output devices. We will discuss input and output devices later in the. Now, the first type of computer is called the mainframe computer. Mainframe computer is a large, powerful computer. A mainframe computer can do a lot of complicated jobs quickly. Since it's very powerful, a lot of people can use it at the same time. That's all about the mainframe computers. Let's talk about the next one, which is the desktop computers. Desktop have more space for components than laptop. User can upgrade desktop or add additional components such as hard disk, RAM, etc. And a desktop computers usually need to have peripheral devices connected to it. Peripheral devices include a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse. Next one is called the laptop. Laptops include a keyboard, a screen, a trackpad, a rechargeable battery. All those things are included inside the laptops. Laptops are example of portable devices, which mean it can be taken away from the desk. We'll discuss the portable devices in the future lessons. The next device is called the SBC, or the single board computer. SBC stands for single board computer. These computers use education, embedded computing, or physical computing projects. The examples of those computers are Raspberry Pi, BeagleBoard, PandaBoard, MK802, etc. Now let's talk about the mobile phone cameras. First of all, let's talk about the SIM cards. What is a SIM card? SIM stands for Subscriber Identity Module. Mobile phones use SIM card to connect to a mobile network, and a SIM card is used to identify the subscriber to a mobile phone network. Next type of the mobile phone is called the specialist phone. Some phones have specialist features to provide user with functions that meet the particular user's need. Some phones have an emergency button that is linked to a list of emergency contacts. When that button is pressed, the phone will call each person on the list until someone answers. Next, we have the smartphones. The smartphones are the small computers with Wi-Fi mobile phone connectivity. A smartphone allows users to make calls, use internet, install apps, and play games. Here are the features of the smartphone. For example, we can install the apps, we can use it as a game console, and they have the separate and advanced operating system. Next device is called the tablet. The tablet devices are bigger than smartphones but have the similar features. Tablet device has a touch screen, apps, and Wi-Fi connectivity to provide access to the internet. Some tablets contain SIM card slots for the internet access when there is no Wi-Fi. Now let's talk about the cameras and camcorders. These devices use light sensors to capture images formed by the light passing through the device lens. Cameras are used to capture still images, while the camcorder used to capture the moving image. Most digital cameras nowadays film moving images, and most camcorders can photograph the still. Next, let's talk about the image quality. What is image quality? A good lens allows light to travel through it without introducing any defects. We can determine the quality of an image on those three factors, like quality of lens, quality of image processor, and the quality of the sensor resolution. These are the three factors. Based on those three factors, we can determine the quality of an image. Let's talk one by one. It allows the user to choose how much light can travel through it, which affects the final image. And a good image processor can compensate for the poor lighting conditions. Sensor resolution of a camera is expressed as number of pixels that can be captured. Now let's talk about the pixels. What is the pixel? Digital images are made up of small dots called pixels. Better quality sensors can capture more detail and produce images with a greater number of pixels. Some cameras use sensors, each dedicated to a different color or wavelength of light. Now let's talk about the home entertainment system. First device that we use in a home is television or TV. Televisions display still and moving images on screen. Quality of the image is set by the number of pixels that are used to display the image, referred as screen resolution. High definition television screen contain a large number of pixels. High definition or HD television screen contain a large number of pixels, which means they have a higher resolution than standard definition televisions. Now let's talk about the resolution. What is a resolution? The resolution of a television in pixels is stated as horizontal pixels multiplied by vertical pixels. We can multiply the horizontal and the vertical pixel to get resolution of a screen. As manufacturers do not specify the number of horizontal pixels. Instead, they only refer the vertical pixels. You have usually seen that the screen with the number 720 or 1080p. Ultra high definition UHD TV screens are sometimes called 4K or 8K because they have a horizontal resolution of 4000 or 8000 pixels. Next device is called the sound system. Sound system can produce loud, rich sound using high quality speakers and amplifiers. Sound system can play music from CDs or from the local storage. They usually be connected to a personal device, for example, mobile phone, media player, tablet, using wired like a USB or wirelessly via Bluetooth. They can be connected to a local network via Wi-Fi to play the music stored on connected devices. Some sound system can connect to the internet to play the music stored online. Next one is the personal video recorder. Personal video recorder, or PVR. A personal video recorder is a device that records broadcast content that can be watched at later date. Now let's talk about the Blu-ray and the DVD players. Keep in mind, now we're talking about the players, not the disc. Blu-ray and DVD players connect to television to play films and other content stored on DVD or Blu-ray disc. Blu-ray players can usually play DVD discs, but DVD players will not play the Blu-ray discs. Blu-ray discs can store HD movies which have higher quality pictures and sound. Newer 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray players can play 4K content on 4K televisions. Now let's talk about the game consoles. What is a game console? Game consoles are designed to enable users to play video games on television screens, and games are provided on disk or as downloaded from the internet. Use controller, which are often wireless, to control the character, vehicle, or objects in the game. Some games use motion sensors to allow players to control the game with gestures and body movement. Other games use virtual reality controller and headsets to immerse the player in the realistic gaming experience. Another digital device is called the media player. Media player provides video and audio content to a television. This content could be streamed directly from the internet or accessed from the network or the local storage. Media player can be connected to a television directly or using wired or wireless network. They are controlled using a remote controller or in some cases using some smartphone apps. Some media players offer an output in 4K. The personal media players are compact, portable devices with local storage to hold the media files for playback. They are useful when traveling or exercising due to their small size and longer battery life. They often use solid-state flash memory storage, which is not affected by being moved or shaken. Next digital device is called the navigation aid. The navigation aid can compute the best route between two or more locations and update it if not followed correctly. They are commonly used in cars, delivery vans, and ships. And they provide visual prompts and alerts to help drivers take the correct route. Some special navigation aids are available for the walkers, cyclists, and runners with audio alerts, waterproof, and short. Next digital device is called the GPS, or Global Positioning System. GPS uses satellites radio signals to show your exact position on the Earth on a special piece of equipment. And navigation aids use information from GPS satellites to determine the exact location of the device on the Earth. Navigation aids also use orientation sensors to know which way the device is currently pointing. And maps are either stored permanently on the device or downloaded from the internet when they are needed. The GPS does not need connectivity or the internet in order to work. However, the navigation aid needs internet connectivity in order to update the maps data. Here's a question. Lisa uses a smartwatch when she exercises. Lisa's smartwatch uses GPS to monitor her location, gives two pieces of information that could be calculated using the GPS data. Where are the things that you can calculate: speed, estimated time of arrival, time to destination, quickest route, shortest route, distance traveled, distance to the destination, direction, heading, bearing, step taken. The home automation and the smart assistant. What are the home automation and smart assistant? One type of emerging technology is a group of devices that can be used to create smart homes. Such devices can connect a range of devices that sense and control home functions such as temperature and lighting. And these functions can be controlled from apps or smartphones or the internet. Next one is called the multifunctional devices and convergence. A smartphone is a type of mobile phone whose primary function is to make phone calls. It can also take photographs or function as a navigation aid, fitness tracker, music player, or handheld gaming console. A smartphone can perform a range of different functions. That is why it is classified as a multifunctional device. That's it for this class, and we are done with the digital devices. In the next class, we discuss the different features of digital devices. So stay tuned and in the next class. Okay, in this class, we'll discuss the features of digital devices. Let's begin the class. First of all, there are three main features. The first one is the portability, performance, and connectivity. The digital devices you use have several features such as portability, performance, and connectivity. Connectivity is a device's ability to connect to a network or the other devices. For example, when you connect your digital device to a Wi-Fi, that is also called connectivity. Or when you connect your digital device, for example, your phone with a Bluetooth speaker, that is also called the connectivity. For a device to be portable, it needs to be easy to carry and move around. A portable device is small and lightweight. A portable device has a built-in battery, internet connection, and you can move it around everywhere easily. For example, the phone, your laptop, all those devices are called the portable devices. A high-performance device performs its job or task quickly. If your device is high-performance, it means it can perform your jobs quickly. For example, if you want to play some game on the phone, it can smoothly play that game. Or if you want to open some software, for example, Photoshop, it can run the Photoshop very smoothly. For example, if your device performance is not very good, and when you open the Photoshop inside your laptop, for example, when you click on something, you have to wait. Okay, that device will slowly perform that operation, and then you can go to the next section. But if the performance of your device is good, you just need to click, will complete the task, and you move on to the next task. The performance of the device can be measured by the following three factors. Based on those following three factors, we can measure if a device performance is good or bad. Those factors include the CPU, RAM, and the storage. The CPU executes the software instructions, hence a quicker processor improves the performance. If your processor is quicker, it means it can perform operation very quickly. Next one is the instruction are loaded into CPU from the RAM. This means faster RAM allows the instruction to be loaded into the CPU faster. This is the second factor. And third one is the virtual memory. Virtual memory is utilized when the RAM is full. Fast storage means faster virtual memory access. These are the main three factors that influence the device performance. Now let's talk about the storage. Files and programs are stored in the storage. For example, if you save some file in the laptop, or maybe you take some picture from your phone, those all things are stored inside the storage. Or also, for example, if you download some software on your phone or install some software on your laptop, all those things are also stored inside the storage. More available storage allow the user to store more files and programs. Storage speed also affects the performance. For example, if you have an iPhone 64 GB, that means you can store some files and videos, but after some time you will get the notification that your storage is full. This means if you have the more storage, you can store more files and install more programs. If you have less storage, you can save less files and install less programs. Now let's talk about some terminology. The first one is a file. What is a file? A file is a collection of data representing a document, image, database, or a similar thing. A file always ends with an extension. For example, file name .pdf or file name .png or file name .docx. Okay, this is the file name. File, it contains the data. For example, image could be a PNG, JPEG, or GIF, right? All those images contain some data. Or file, maybe the PDF file contains some text, right? Those things are called the files that have the data. What is a program? A program is a set of instructions carried out by a processor. Software, basically, the software program is kind of a set of instructions that you use to perform different operation on the files. For example, you need a Photoshop. Photoshop is a program to edit the images, right? You need word processing software, for example, WPS or Microsoft Word, to perform different operations on the document. This is the difference between files and the programs. Now let's talk about the UI. What is UI? UI, or the user interface. User give command to the device using the UI. There are several different types of UI. Well, let's talk about those types. For example, we have the GUI or graphical user interface. We have menu-driven interface. We have CLI or command line interface. We have gesture interface, and we have the voice interface. These are the 5 different types of user interfaces. And why we need the user interface? Because user give commands to the device using one of those interfaces. The first type of interface is called the CLI or the command line interface. When using a CLI, user enter text instructions and the computer system provide result or feedback as text. You can see the picture. This is called the CLI. This is also called the DOS or terminal. In this one, you need to type the command. For example, if you want to copy one file to another place, so you need to type the command copy and then the file name and then where you want to paste. You need to type everything. Okay. For example, if you want to delete something, you need to also type the delete command and then specify the file or folder name that you want to delete. Such interface is often found on the older system or devices with limited storage, as it requires little memory. This type of interface is usually found on the older computers. If you have the older computer, they don't have the GUI or the graphical user interface. We'll talk about the GUI in the next slide. But GUI have the icons and pictures, but this type of interface have no image, only text. This type of interface is usually found on the older PC because in the past we don't have the much storage. Nowadays we have like terabytes of storage. We can have terabytes of storage, but in the past we can just have the 2 bytes, 4 bytes, something like that. On those the small amount of storage, we cannot store pictures and those things. That's why this type of interface usually found on the older computer or maybe on some devices that doesn't have the more storage. Command have to be typed precisely because interface only recognize certain commands. In the command interface, you need to memorize all the commands and you need to type all the commands precisely. You cannot mistake in the command name. For example, you can see in the above picture here, I typed the command. The correct command is CLS, okay? Clear the terminal screen, okay? But I type it as CSL. It says CSL is not recognized as internal or external command. Here you can see, when you want to do some operation, you first need to write the command precisely. For example, if you want to delete something, you need to type the delete command precisely. Or if you want to copy something, first you need to write that command correctly. If you misspell the command, then you won't be able to do the operation using the CLS. This could be one of the big disadvantages of CLI. But there is usually a help menu for the user that lists and explain the acceptable commands. When you open the terminal or the command interface, you type the help command and you will get all the commands that can be used inside that interface. You can just learn to do different commands like perform different actions. For example, how to copy, delete, create new folder commands. So you can just check the commands in the help section and learn, and then you can apply. That's it for the command line interface. Now let's move to the next interface called the menu-driven interface. Okay, this type of interface display a list of options as menu. As you can see in the picture, you have list of options as a menu. By selecting one of these, will trigger a command or display another menu with further options. There are two things happens. For example, if you choose one option, okay, from the list, you will see another list of commands, or maybe it just perform the action. For example, if you go to the bank to withdraw some money from the ATM machine, ATM machines, they use this type of interface. For example, you want to withdraw the money or deposit the money, you need to click, and then you input the amount, confirm, and then you will get the money, right? Like this. The one disadvantage of this one, they are easier to use than the CLI because you don't have to remember the commands to type precisely, but they take more time as you have to go through the menu structure each time you want to carry out command. For example, to want to withdraw the money, you first time you just go to the menu, you enter the password and the amount, and then you confirm. If you want to withdraw more money, you have to then start from the beginning. You have to go back and start from the beginning, from the home, and do all the operations. This is one kind of disadvantage of the menu-driven interface. This type of interface is used in many devices, including the ATMs, televisions, and older mobile phones. That's all about the menu-driven interface. Now let's talk about the GUI, or the graphical user interface. The GUI is controlled by a pointer. What is a pointer? Pointer is one you can see on the screen. This arrow is called the pointer. And how we control this pointer? We control this pointer using the pointing devices, for example, the trackpad, mouse, or some other devices. A GUI controlled by a pointer on the screen and uses a screen made up of the windows, icons, and menu. There are three main components of the GUI. Number one is windows, number two is icons, and number three is menu. Okay, now let's discuss. Window are the area of the screen that are dedicated to application or the operating system task. For example, when you open Microsoft Word, you can see you have different options. Those options are related to the text processing, right? If you open the PowerPoint also have some different options. If you compare Word and PowerPoint options, they are different. So when you open a program, you open a window, right? That window contains different options depending on the program. For example, if you open the Photoshop options are totally different from the Word and the PowerPoint. Okay, that is called a window. Next one is the icon. Okay, what are the icons? Icons are the small images that represent an application that can be selected with the pointer to open an application. When you start some program on your laptop, you have one icon, for example, Photoshop icon or a Word icon, the PowerPoint icon. Okay, that is the small picture that you see on your desktop or maybe in the start menu. That is called the icon. When you click on the icon, it opens the program. Next thing is the menu. Menu provides the option for the task relating to the operating system or open application. For example, when you want to delete something, you need to right click on the file and you see a menu, and from the menu you can choose delete or copy or cut or whatever you want to do. You can choose the different command from the menu. Similarly, you have different menus inside the program. As you can see in the picture, you have a menu here. Okay, this is the menu inside the program. That's all about the menu. Okay, so one disadvantage of this type of interface, this is easiest type of interface to use, but it takes up more memory and storage than a CLI and the menu-driven interface. If you compare the GUI with CLI and the menu-driven interface, GUI take more storage. That's why we cannot run the GUI on some older system. That's all about the GUI. Next type of interface is called the voice interface. This device has the voice recognition software, which matches the spoken word against a library of words to find a match. This type of interface usually works when you have the internet connected. You need to first connect your device to the internet, and then this device contains a voice recognition software that can recognize your voice. And it has the different commands that are stored online on the cloud. When you say something, turn on the light. Okay, you can just say to Alexa, turn on the light. Alexa will find words mean by those words from the cloud and then perform the operation. A voice interface allows user to give spoken commands to the device. You speak, and voice interface perform that action. To save the storage on the device, the library of words is often stored online. These devices usually require internet connection. You need internet. First, you need to connect that device to the internet, and then you can interact with that device and give different commands and it will perform different operations for you. Next one, the disadvantage. Sometimes the software cannot find a match or return incorrect match, which produce unwanted results. Sometimes you ask it to do something, but it misunderstood what you were trying to say, and it will do something else, right? That is one problem with the voice interface. For this reason, the voice interface sometimes check the instruction of the user before searching for a match. And some voice interface use the result of the confirmation to learn the voice of the user and improve the future matches. That's how this thing learns. Now, let's talk about where we use those devices and what are the advantages of this type of interface. Advantages is hand-free operation is possible using the voice interface. You don't need to touch the device. Okay, you just need to say word from your mouth and then you can perform the operation. These mean that they are often used in vehicles in order to improve the road safety. So, for example, if you're driving, okay, and you want to play some songs, if you don't have the voice interface, then you have to probably unlock the phone and then open the Spotify and find the song, and then you need to click the press button. This is not the safe, right? You're driving the car on the road. So what you can do, you can just say, okay, hey Siri, kindly play this song on Spotify, like that. That's it. When you give a command, that voice interface automatically find the song and then play the song for you. Okay, next type of interface is called the gesture interface. Such interface allow user to control the device by swapping their finger or fingers across the screen. You can control those devices by swapping your fingers on the screen. This type of interface is commonly found on devices with touch screen. All you know about those interfaces because you have the smartphone. Smartphone these days, they have the touch screens. And you use the touch screen to interact with the phone. We have a different, for example, you can tab, you can swap with the two finger, you can pinch, zoom, and do different operation using your fingers on the gesture interface. That's all about the gesture interfaces or the UI, user interfaces. Now let's talk about the connectivity. Device can share data by connecting to each other using wired or wireless connectivity. There are two methods. Two devices can communicate to each other or send or receive data. First one is the wireless connectivity. We have the Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And the second one is called the wired connectivity. You connect two devices using the wire. For example, you connect your phone to the laptop using a wire. You have a USB cable. You just plug that USB cable into your laptop and you just plug the phone in the other side of the cable and then you connect and you can transfer things. Two types of connectivity, right? Wireless and wired connectivity. Connectivity can be used to update software, backup files, or play media from one device to another device. So, yeah, you can use the connectivity to update the device. For example, if you want to update the software, you need internet connectivity. You can connect your phone with the Wi-Fi or with the cellular data, and then you can go and update or install some new apps. You can also use this to backup files. For example, you have some files on your phone, and then you want to backup to the cloud. So you also need the connectivity. And other one is the play media from one device to other device. For example, you have Bluetooth speakers at your home. You want to play some song from your phone to those speakers. First, you need to connect your phone with those Bluetooth speakers and then play the song from your phone and can listen the music from those speakers. Different connectivity types provide different speed of data transfer and level of connection. Different types of connectivity have different advantages or disadvantages. The speed is also varies. For example, if you connect your laptop with the cable, the speed with the cable is fast. If you connect your phone or the laptop with the Wi-Fi speed depends on the signal. If you're close to the Wi-Fi, your speed will be good. If you go far from the Wi-Fi, your signal will drop and your speed will also fluctuate. It won't be consistent. Wired connectivity is usually faster and more reliable. As we said, if you use a wire, the speed is much faster. But if there's a problem with the wired connectivity, it introduces additional cost. You need to buy the cables, okay? And mess, yeah, of course, if you have the cable, you have a mess at home, inconvenience and the safety risk, such as tripping, especially for the younger children. So there's many problems with the cables, but still the speed is faster if you compare with the Wi-Fi. So next feature is called the media support. Different devices can read data from and write data to different types of media, example, SD card, micro SD card, flash memory card, and DVDs. What does it mean by reading and writing data? Reading data means, for example, if you copy some song to a USB, that means you're writing something on the USB. Or if you're playing something from a USB or some storage media, this means you're reading data from that storage. That's mean by reading and writing. That's it. If device does not have the built-in media adapters can be connected to provide the connectivity to external devices, example, the card reader. You can use the card reader and connect that card reader using the USB port and read or write the data that storage. Okay. Next feature is called the energy consumption. So little devices require electricity to work. One benefit of lower energy consumption mobile devices is longer battery life. If your phone consumes less energy, it means your battery can last a very long time. But if your phone consumes a lot of energy, it means you have to charge your phone or the laptop 2 or 3 times a day. Due to the raising energy cost and customers and the government pressure, manufacturers are building more energy efficient digital products. The aim of this is to save their customers money and demonstrate the social responsibilities, such as by reducing the environmental damage. That's all about the energy consumption. If your phone is consuming or your laptop is consuming less energy, it means it's energy efficient. Okay. Next feature is called the expansion capabilities. What does it mean by the expansion capabilities? Some PCs allow users to install additional components. Smartphones and tablet devices have expansion slots to allow them to make use of the flash memory cards. For example, the Android phones, you can insert the SD card and extend the storage. That is called the expansion capability. Systems can also be expanded using the port, such as where USB allow user to connect extra devices, for example, peripheral devices. For example, you can see your laptop. You can connect different devices to your laptop where USB cable, for example, some laptop have the SD card reader built in, then you can just plug the card and read the data from the card. Or maybe you can use the USB port to connect different peripheral devices, for example, microphone or maybe keyboard or the wireless mouse or something like that. All those things are called the expansion capabilities. This is also one of the features of the device. Next feature is called the security feature. Okay, what is the security feature? The data stored on the digital device may be private, valuable, or both. Okay? For example, if company boss phone have some very important data related to their business, that is why if someone can get access to that data, he can destroy them, right? So that's why those devices also need a security feature to secure the data of the user. How we can secure the data? For example, we can use the Face ID, we can use the PIN, we can use the fingerprint. These are the things we can use to protect our data on digital devices. This means that the device need to have security features to keep their users' data safe. Yes, we have important data in our device and we need a security feature to keep our data safe. Lock screen, password, biometrics, and pins are used to prevent unauthorized access to the data on the victim device. These are the different methods we use to prevent unauthorized user to access our data. PIN, Face ID, and there's some other method mentioned here. These are the security features are built inside the digital devices. Next one is called the physical security. Physical security prevent theft. It's also vital. Devices use security locks, which can have locks attached to secure them to furniture. When you go to Apple store or maybe some other vendor, okay, you see all the laptop or the phones, they are connected to some sort of slot, like you can see in this picture. This means this device will protect the device from the theft. Okay? Now, if you try to steal that laptop and deattach it from this device, it will just start making noise and the security guard will know that somebody is trying to steal the device. That is why this is also important. Some attached to a special slot, other connected to a part on the device with special screws used to secure the locks in place. There are different ways they can use to make sure the physical security of a device. That's it for today's class. We are done with the features of digital devices. Next class, we'll discuss the different types of peripheral devices. This is the lesson 4, and in this lesson, we're going to discuss about the peripheral devices. Let's begin the class, okay? Peripheral devices are the devices that can be connected to a computer, such as PC or a tablet device. Okay, these are all the devices are called the peripheral devices. For example, we have the mouse, keyboard, microphone, speakers, all those devices, we call them peripheral devices. Peripheral devices can be connected inside or outside of a computer and can be grouped into 3 types. We have 3 types of the peripheral devices. We have input devices, we have output devices, and the storage devices. Let's just summarize everything. Peripheral devices are the devices that we connect to the computer. Those devices can be connected inside the computer or maybe outside. Okay, and we can group those devices into 3 categories. We have the input, output, and the storage. Okay, in this class, we discuss the input devices. What are input devices? Input peripheral are devices that send data to the computer. Every device that sends data to the computer is called the input device or input peripheral. For example, we have the microphone sends data to the computer. We have the mouse also sends data to computer. We have scanner also sends data. Similarly, we have controller and joystick, and these are some examples of input peripheral. These devices allow the user to control the computer or store data captured from the sources outside of the system. What does it mean by capture data from the sources outside of the system? This means, like for example, microphone capture our sound, right? And then send that sound to the computer. This means it capture data outside of the computer and send that data to the computer. And then computer can process that data. We can do different things with that data. This is all about the definition of what are peripheral devices and what are the input peripheral devices specifically. The first type of input peripheral is called the keyboard. Keyboard use button known as keys. Okay, all the button on the keyboard known as keys, which user presses to input text or interact with the software. You can press the keys from the keyboard to input text, or maybe you can use the combination of the different keys to send shortcuts, command different softwares installed on your laptop. Keyboard send data to computer either using wired or wireless connection. There are 2 types of keyboard. One is the wired that you connect using the USB port. Another one is the wireless, like using the Bluetooth. There are 2 types of keyboard. Okay, so they can send data to computer in 2 methods. One is wired, second one is the wireless method. Different types of keyboard are used for different operating system, language, and function. Combination of key press allow the user to access common features command called shortcuts. If you combine the different keys, that we call the shortcut. For example, we have the Control plus C or Command plus C. That is the shortcut for copying text, right? Control Z, Control V. We have different shortcuts that we use in our everyday life. These combination of keys, when pressed, they are called shortcuts. Next, there's another term is called the touch typing. What is touch typing? Touch typing involves typing without looking at the keys. This speed up the data entry. If you type without looking at the keyboard, that is called the touch typing. This means you are just looking at the screen, you're typing with your hand knows which key is where, and that is called the touch typing. How can you learn that thing? There are different softwares and you can also practice on touch typing. And what is the benefit of learning touch typing? It can increase your typing speed. If you look at the keyboard and find each key, this means your typing speed is slow. Next input device is called the pointing device or pointing devices, because there's many devices. A pointer. So pointer, you can see this arrow. This is called the pointer. A pointer is used on screen to select displayed object. There are several types of devices that allow you to control the pointer. There are different types of devices that allow us to control that pointer. Let's discuss them. First one is the mouse. This is very obvious, right? Everybody uses mouse. A mouse uses an optical sensor to recognize the movement of the device. You move the mouse on some surface, and that movement is determined the location of the cursor on the screen. Okay, this is also called the cursor or pointer. Its sensitivity can be affected by the surface upon which it is placed. So that's why you need to use the mouse pad. Okay, so mouse pad surface is made for the mouse. You can use the mouse on the mouse pad to smoothly control the cursor. Some mouse or mice uses the roller ball to control the movement of the pointer. There are 2 types of, now we can see there are 2 types of mouse. One is the optical mouse, which use the optical light, and the second one is the This one use the ball. Okay, these type of mouse are old. This one is the ball, and this one has the optical light. How you control the pointer using this mouse? This has a small ball inside this one, and you move it on some surface. Ball moves, and there are some rollers, okay, around this one. Based on the movement of those rollers, you can control it. But nowadays we don't use this type of mouse, but in old days we only have this type of mouse. This is a new type. It's called the laser mouse or the optical mouse. So the trackball. There's another type of the pointing device called the trackball. Okay, we have mouse. Next one is called the trackball. These are all the pointing devices. Trackball. A trackball is rolled to move the pointer. Okay, it does not have button to press. This is the thing. Okay? You can just put it anywhere on any surface. You just need to roll the ball to control the movement of the cursor or the pointer. Next device is a pointing device. Is called the trackpad. Trackpad surface sense the finger movement, touch, and pressures. Okay? All of the laptops have the built-in trackpad or touchpad. Okay, you just move your finger on the trackpad, and then you can control the movement of the mouse. You can even press the trackpad to perform different operations. For example, right click, left click. This is also called the pointing device. We have the pointing devices. There are three types of pointing devices. One is called the mouse, then we have the trackpad, and then the third one is called the trackball. Okay, just keep in mind. And the mouse, we have two types. One is the laser mouse. Second one is the mouse with the ball. The next pointing device is called the joystick. Joysticks are commonly used on the game controller to move spirit around the game. You can use those joysticks to control the movement of the player, okay, inside the game. And next, the pointing device is called the graphics tablet. A graphic tablet is a flat pad that utilized with the stylus. We have a stylus. This pen is called the stylus. Okay. The user uses stylus to draw and write on it, usually used by the artist and the designer. This type of devices are very useful for the teachers. For example, if they're teaching math, they can just write something on it, and that thing will be shown on the screen. Okay. Maybe if someone is interested in the arts, so they can also use this type of graphics tablet. You need to connect that tablet to the laptop, and then whatever you do on the tablet, it will appear on the screen. There are two types also. One is with the screen and one is without the screen. For example, this pad is without screen. There is no screen. But there is another type which is more expensive, which mirrored the laptop screen. Whatever you see on the laptop, you can also see on the tablet. And you have the same functionality. You have the stylus. You can draw. You can write. It's up to you which one is more comfortable for you. Next type of input device is called the scanner, including the OCR and OMR. What are scanners? Scanners use light sensor to record physical document as image, which are then saved as file to the computer. For example, if you have some physical document that you want a digital version of that document, what you need to do, you need to put that document inside the scanner. Scanner will scan. Scanning means taking picture of that image, and then you will see that picture inside your laptop. That is what a scanner is. Scanner uses light to scan the image, okay, and gives you the digital version of that image. Software allows scanners to read character on the document and store the result into a text file known as OCR. What is OCR? OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition Software. These software allow you to read the text from the image. Okay, so for example, if you have an image with a text, you cannot copy the text. You cannot delete the text from that image, right? Using the OCR, you can copy the text from the image. Okay, image is different from the file. From file, you can copy, cut, paste, okay, do different things on the text, okay? But if you have an image, okay, you can just take an image of a text and then try to copy. A newer version of the phones, they have the built-in OCR, but the older version of the phone, they don't have. When you take a picture, you cannot copy the text from the image. How you capture the text from the image? You use the OCR. There's some software in the App Store you can download to use the OCR. Next one is the OMR, or Optical Mark Recognition. Okay, this device is called the Optical Mark Recognition, or OMR. This type of software can also be used with scanners to detect simple mark on documents. If you have some simple marks on documents, you can use this device to detect those marks. Where we use those devices, a common use of OMR is for recognizing and recording responses to the multiple choice test. For example, if you go for the IGCSE test, right? You write your answer on a sheet. How they check your answers? They just put that thing inside the OMR, and OMR will automatically give you the scores based on the circles that you have chosen. That's all about the scanners. Next one is called the barcode scanner. What is a barcode scanner? First of all, what is a barcode? A barcode is a pattern of line and gaps that can be read by the barcode scanner, okay, which detects the width of the lines and gaps in a barcode. This is the barcode. Okay? You can see you have different lines and there are different gaps. Some lines are small, some lines are thick, and they also have some number and the alphabet here, which is called the barcode. A device that can read data from those codes is called the barcode scanner or barcode reader. The barcodes are often used on the parcels that they can be tracked and on items for sale in shop. Go to the shop. When you want to buy something, you give it to the owner of the shop, and then he used the barcode scanner to scan to know the price and other information about that product. Okay, so barcodes are usually used on the products that you buy from the markets and also on the parcels. For example, if you buy something from Taobao or maybe Amazon, they also use the barcode to track that package. Okay, the barcode represents letters and numbers which are used to identify the items. Based on those letters and numbers, the barcode scanner can identify the product. Okay, there are two types of barcodes. Okay, so number one is the linear barcode, and second one is the matrix. This is the linear. This barcode is called the linear barcode. Now let's see what is the matrix barcode. Okay, matrix code are also known as QR codes. QR means response code. They are newer than the linear barcode and have some advantages over the linear barcode, such as they can hold much more information than the linear barcode. And second advantage is they can be scanned from any angle. You can scan the QR code from any angle, up, down, left, right. Okay? Next input device is called the webcam. Webcam are specialized cameras. They are cameras, okay? But we call them webcam. They are generally lower quality than the camcorder, and they have built-in microphone to capture the sound. This is quality of those cameras. Okay? They can be used as security cameras and stream images or the videos. Why we call them the webcam? Because we usually use those cameras to stream video online. For example, if you want a video call from your laptop, you can use the webcam. Some laptops have the built-in camera, and some you need to buy the external cameras and connect where the use. Webcams are used when you are having the online classes, online meeting, making video call, or maybe streaming the videos on video website. If you are streaming something, you also use that. Next input device is called the microphone. Microphone is used to capture sound. Everyone is used to capture sound. It uses diaphragm, which moves the air, hits. This movement produces an analog electrical signal. It produces analog sound. Just keep in mind. How we convert the analog signal to the digital one? A microphone converts the electrical signal to the digital signal with sound cards. This device is called the sound card, which converts the analog signal to the digital one, because computer can already understand the binary, right? 0 and 1. It doesn't understand the analog thing. To make the computer understand what is inside the sound, we need to convert that sound to the digital one. How we convert that sound to the digital one? We use the sound card. Sound card act as the analog to digital converter. That's all. Next input device is called the touchscreen. Touchscreens are used in many devices, including smartphones, tablet devices, laptops, and desktop computers. Many use up to touchscreens. There are two types of touchscreens. Number one, we have the resistive touchscreen, and second one is the capacitive touchscreen. Now let's discuss those details. A touchscreen, and first one we're going to discuss the resistive touchscreen. When a user presses on a resistive screen, the pressure causes two layers underneath the screen to touch and make a connection. When you touch, you can see in this picture, you need to make a connection here, and then you touch signal will go. These screens are more durable than the capacitive touchscreen, but are harder to read because more layers reflect more light. It's not easy to read the data from those touchscreens. In addition, they can only recognize one touch at a time. They are not suitable for the multi-touch application. For example, on your phone, you can use multiple fingers to do different gestures, right? To perform different actions. On those type of screen, the resistive screen, you can only touch one. You cannot use the 2 fingers or 4 fingers or pinch, something like that. You can do that. Those things are the resistive touch screen. The next type of touch screen is called the capacitive touch screen. Here you can see in the diagram. This is working of the capacitive touch screen. Under the glass of capacitive touch screen, there is a layer of capacitive material. And when a user touches the screen, a small amount of charge flows away from their fingers because humans are conductors. Change in the electric charge is measured precisely. The closer the finger is to the charged area, the more current flow away. This is how the basic working of those screen. And this allows the computer to calculate the precise location at which the screen was touched. And capacitive screens are often used in the smartphone. Your smartphone, your iPad, your iPhone, your Android phone, all of the touchscreen phone, they use the capacitive touch screen. Next input device, we call them the biometric scanners. Biometric scanners measure a user's unique physical characteristic several times until a suitable average result is produced. That's all about the biometric scanner. The average result is then saved and compared to the future samples to determine if person is being scanned is authorized or not. This allows the information to be updated so that the saved sample is perfect. How the biometric scanner works, for example, we have the different biometric scanners. We have the fingerprint, we have the face scanner. What we do when we use them for the first time? For the first time, we need to give them the sample of our, for example, fingerprint scanner. Okay, let's talk about the fingerprint scanner. For the first time, when we try to use those scanners, we need to give our fingerprint to the scanner. We need to press our finger on the scanner for the several time, and then when it says done, this means it captured all the sample from our finger. And the next time when you try to touch the button, okay, or touch the sensor, it automatically unlocks based on. Okay, first type of biometric scanner is called the finger recognition. Okay, so what is finger recognition? This scanner read the pattern of arches, loops, and holes in human fingerprints. It can read the different loops and arches from our finger, and based on those things, loops and arches, they can identify the correct one. The fingerprints are unique to each person, which makes them a valuable method. Every person on the planet have a unique fingerprint. That's why we can use the fingerprint to identify someone. But fingerprints can be obscured, okay, or damaged or changed, such as by injury or disease. As you can see in the picture, this person got some problem with her fingers, which means he cannot use the fingerprint. That is why we can say that this method is not very good for everyone. Next type of input device, is called the facial recognition software. These scanners identify the structure of the human face in order to identify individual. So we use those scanner to scan our face for the first time, and then next time when you want to unlock the phone or laptop, you just need to show your face to that device. And next one is the voice recognition. Okay, these scanners require a microphone to capture the voice. You need to say a few words or few letters or some phrases for the first time. It captures your sound, your pitch, okay, your depth, everything. And then next time when you want to log in, it asks you to say something, and then you read based on your past data, it can open that device. They can capture the voice print against a saved original and check to see whether the two prints match. So if they match, then they open the device. Next type of input is called the iris recognition. Okay. Next type of biometric scanner is type of iris scanner. What is iris scanner? The like fingerprint, human iris has a unique pattern. Like as we said, like every person have a unique fingerprint, right? Similarly, every person have a unique iris. On the iris scan, the iris scan is approximately 120 times more detailed than the fingerprint. That's why we can say that the iris scan is much better than the fingerprint. This means that the iris recognition is 120 times more reliable than identifying. Iris scan is more reliable than the fingerprint scan. Here is the basic how the iris recognition software can see the image and see. This is not important, for example. I'm skipping this one. Pause the video and just see how. Okay, now let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the biometric scanner. First, let's talk about the advantages. Easier for the user than the password because biometric data cannot be forgotten. If you use the passwords, maybe you forgot the password, or maybe if you use the same password for all of your accounts, just means if your one account is compromised, your all account will be compromised, right? The hacker hack all of your accounts. This is one advantage. More difficult to trick or confuse biometric scanners than some other methods. Yeah, it's not easy to trick the biometric scanner. It can speed up the transaction. For example, if you're paying the money, instead of typing the password, you just show your face or you just use your fingerprint. It's much more faster, right? Are not restricted by language barriers. There is no language thing. You have a face, your finger. This is acceptable. Now let's talk about the disadvantages. Because the privacy and the security concern, because detailed personal information is stored electronically. Some people think that is not very good because they are giving their vital information to someone else. For example, if you use the Apple, right? In Apple, you need to store your fingerprint in Apple device. You don't know. Apple have access to your fingerprints, your face. This is against the privacy. Possible to trick or confuse them. It is also possible to trick or confuse them. For example, there's many videos on the internet. You can watch how they trick the facial recognition software by showing the picture of the person, or maybe you can also create the fake fingerprints. There's many ways you can also check on the internet. Next one is expensive to make and buy. It's very expensive. You need to buy a specialist device, okay, which will add extra cost, right? And also it makes some people feel uncomfortable. It's also not keep their personal fingerprints or the face ID to someone else. Okay? These are some disadvantages of the biometric scanners. Next input device is called the card readers. Okay, what are the card readers? Card readers are used to read data stored on a card that is carried by a user. Data can be used to unlock door, access secure areas, make payment, or track people, parcels, and even pattern envelopes. There are different types of card that we can use. Next one is the card reader can carry data using three methods. There are three methods the cards can carry data. What are those three methods? Number one, we have the RFID or NFC. Then we have the programmable chips. And then next one is the strip cards. These are three different types of the type of the card readers. Okay, what is the programmable chip? Data on a programmable chip is only readable when the correct pin is entered. You first need to set the card and then you enter the pin code, and when the pin code is correct. Next one is the magnetic strip cards. Data on the magnetic strip can be easily stolen by hackers who put the card through a card reader without the owner's knowledge. Bring their card reader near to that magnetic card. For example, if someone is holding his magnetic card in back, okay, the hacker can walk near to him with the card reader and he can read the data from his card. That is why this is the least secure method. Next one, we have the RFID and NFC. RFID stands for the radio frequency identification, and RFID is the short range wireless communication method. And NFC stands for the near field communication, and it is a branch of the RFID. RFID tags are cheap and small, and they can be included in a variety of objects such as the card and keyboards and smartphones. You can see here the uses of those cards. Okay, they contain unique identification number or ID that is linked to the recorder in a database. You can use those NFC or RFID to unlock the door or make payment, maybe in the bus cards. Okay, there's several uses of those cards. Here's an exam question. Explain why NFC speeds up the payment process. The possible answer is user can scan, tap their card and do not have to insert their their card and do not have to enter. This is the first reason. One is because NFC is contactless and payment methods. That is the answer for that question. This is the exam question. Next, input devices, we call them the sensors. Okay, sensors are used to input data about the physical environment. If you want to capture the data from the physical environment, we use the sensors. They can automatically input data without the need of human interaction. You don't need any human interaction. They can capture data and send. Their output is then processed by the computer, and sensors are one of the main features of the most smartphone devices, such as smartphone and the smart environment, such as the smart home. In smart homes and smartphone, we use a lot of sensors. Let's talk about the benefit of the sensors. They can be placed in remote or the dangerous places. They can monitor continuously. Stop. They can remove the possibility of human error, because if the human records something, he make mistake, but those sensors don't make mistake. They can sense things that people cannot. For example, they can sense the changes in the pressure or the gas level. The data is easily or sometimes automatically converted to the rich check or sometimes the sensors. Okay, now let's talk about the types, different types of sensors. There are many different types of sensors. One allow for the monitoring of a range of environment factors. For example, we have the light sensor, which monitors the light, pressure sensor, temperature sensors. We have the proximity and distance sensors we usually use in the phone. We have the moisture and humidity sensors. And the last, we have motion sensors. That's all. We're done with the input devices. In the next lesson, we'll discuss the output devices. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the output devices and the storage devices. Let's begin the class. Let's start. What is output devices, or what are the output peripherals? Output peripherals are connected to a computer and output the result of computer processing in various forms, such as electronic display, printed text like printer, a video, or we can use the monitor or maybe the projector, and in audio form. For the audio, we can use the speakers or the headphone. That's all about the introduction of output devices. Now let's discuss the first output device, which is monitor. Monitor allows users to see the output from the computer on electronic display. Feature of a monitor include the screen size, which is measured diagonally, and the resolution, which is measured in pixels, and the energy efficiency measured, such as going into a low power standby mode if no input is detected. That is all about the monitor. Here is an exam question. Which one of these is the unit used to measure the screen resolution? We have 4 options: inch, Mbps, pixels, and bit. The correct answer is pixel. The next output device is called the printer. A printer is an external hardware output device that prints electronic data from a computer or other devices. There are 3 types of printers. The first one is called the dot matrix printer. Then we have the inkjet printer, and the last type of the printer is called the laser printer. Now let's discuss each printer in detail. The first type of printer is called the dot matrix printer. These printers are sometimes called impact printers. There is a second name for those printers, which is impact printers. This is because the print is made by hitting or impacting the paper through a ribbon of ink, and this process is very noisy. They print by hitting the paper, and this process is also very noisy because the ribbon is continuously hitting the paper. The paper often has the number of carbon copies layers. It can make several copies of the same document at the same time. The benefit of using this printer, it can print several copies of the same document at the same time. Next type of printer is called the inkjet printer. These printers use the cartridge containing the different color ink. These things called the cartridge. They have 4 cartridges. The first one is cyan, magenta, yellow, and the black. We call them CMYK. CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. K for the black. Black ink is held in one cartridge, while the color cartridge is often split into the 3 colors: cyan, magenta, and yellow. Tiny dots of these ink are sprayed onto the paper to form the image of the text. That's how the inkjet printers work. Next type of printer is called the laser printer. These printers contain a rotating cylinder or drum that holds an electrical charge, and the laser is used to discharge the certain points on the drum and draw an image. Electrically charged toner is attracted to those points on the drum and is heated onto the paper that is passed over the drum. There's a very nice video that illustrates how those different printers work. I suggest you to go to the YouTube and watch that video, and you will understand how each printer works. Now let's compare those 3 printers. We are going to compare those 3 printers: dot matrix printer, inkjet printer, and laser printer. And here is the criteria, like the speed, printer cost, cost per copy, color printing, quality, and example where it is used. The first type of printer is the dot matrix printer. This one is the speed is the slowest. Next one, the print cost is cheap. Cost per copy is low. And the coloring printer, they're rare. There's like most of the printer, they don't print the coloring print. The quality of print is low. And example where it's used, when multiple copies are required and you need to print multiple copies of same document, then we use the dot matrix printer. Next type of printer is called the inkjet printer. The speed of the inkjet printer is faster than the dot matrix printer, and the printer cost is medium. It's not very high, not very low. Cost per copy is high because it uses the ink. You have to replace the cartridge every time. Next one is the color printing. Yes, you can print the color documents using the inkjet printers. Quality of print is high and this is used in the home printing and the photographs. The last type of printer is called the laser printer. This one is the newest technology. The speed of this printer is very fast. This printer is very expensive. The cost per copy is medium. It's not very high, not very low. Color printing, yes, it can print the color document and quality of the print is very high, the highest one among those two. An example of where it is used, this type of printer is usually used in high volume printing, often used in the offices. In the offices, we use this type of printer, laser printer. The next type of printer is called a 3D printer. 3D printer, this is a new type of printer. A 3D or three-dimension printer create a real-life version of digital model. You can create the real-life object using the 3D printers. These printers work by adding layers of heated material from bottom to all the way to the top. They start from the bottom and then add the material to all the way to the top to create the model. 3D printed model take a long time to create and often used to create complex items. Sometimes with working parts, you can create something working thing using those printers. And usually when you want to create something that really work in the real life, we create that thing in parts. Some of these items could not be assembled in any other way. That's why we create them in parts. So example of 3D printed object include airplane parts, artificial limbs, automotive prototype models, and even pasta and chocolate. You can also create the food using the 3D printer, and you can also create some other objects using 3D printers. How this 3D printer works, you need a laptop, and the laptop you can install some specific 3D software where you first create a model and then feed that model to the printer, and then printer will try to create the same object. That's how the 3D printers work. Next type of output device is called the plotter. What are the plotters? Plotters are used by various professionals, including the product designers, architects, engineers, and cartographers. The plotter draw the high quality images created in computer aided software or CAD software onto a large sheet of paper. It is accomplished this by drawing the lines on the paper with a pen that can raise above and drop below the page. That's how it works. Sometimes the plotters can also roll the paper backward and forwards. What is the difference between plotter and the printer? Printer can only print something on a small paper, right? You usually see that if you want to print something on small paper like A4 size paper, we have different types of paper, right? If we use the printer, but what if you want to print something on a large paper? You want to print some large pamphlets, right? For this thing, you need the plotter because printer, you can say it can only print this small doc. Next type of output device is called the data projectors. Data projectors are used for the home entertainment such as TV or playing games or for a classroom and business presentations. Usually this type of output devices used for the meetings or maybe in the school classrooms. Maybe in your classroom, you also have this type of device. Your teacher just connect his laptop with those devices and then try to show you the PPT from his laptop on a big screen. So there are some features of those data projectors. For example, light bulbs. These bulbs can have various brightness levels measured in luminance. We can measure the brightness of those bulbs in luminance. This is a measurement unit and expensive to replace. Those light bulbs are very expensive to replace. Resolution, and this is another feature. Like the monitor, they also use a different quality screens. Next one is the zoom functionality. The projected image can be made larger by enlarging the image using either optical zoom or digital zoom. And the last part is the portability. Some smaller and lighter projectors are available, and these are easier to move. You can take them anywhere. For example, if you're going out somewhere, you can just take the projector in your laptop bag and then you can use it anywhere you want. Next output device is called the speakers. Speaker is also an output device. The speakers allow a computer to output sound, and often come in pairs. We usually have the two speakers to provide the stereo sound. Why we need two? Because to give you a stereo sound. Multiple speakers are commonly used to provide surrounding sound in home entertainment system, and these speakers need a special amplifier that can deliver different level of sound to each speaker to provide spatial awareness. That's all about the speakers. The next type of output device is called the control device. Control device, often known as actuators, are the system component that make something happen in a physical world. This type of devices make something happen in real life world. These devices are often mechanical. Example of actuator include, we have the valves, we have the heaters, we have the pistons, we have the coolers, and we have the motors. That's all about the output devices. Now let's go to the exam question. Here is the exam question. Describe how an inkjet printer works. Here is the answer. You can pause the video, you can read the answer. And the next question is, this question is very interesting. State the output device that would produce this object. You can see this object. Can you tell me in the comments that which output device will produce this object? I will show you the answer, but if you guess the answer correct, you can also write your answer in the comments. We use the 3D printer to print this object. Now we're moving to the secondary storage devices. Now let's discuss the secondary storage device. We are done with output devices. Now we discuss the secondary storage devices. Secondary storage devices used for storing documents for the future use. This is the first use. Second one is storing an application ready to be loaded into RAM when user open the application. This is the use of storage devices. Here you can see the example. We have the hard disk, we have the CD and the USB. All those devices are the storage devices. Storage devices are used to store data or software that is used in computer system. Storage devices can be either internal or external. internal devices connected directly to the computer's motherboard. There are two types of storage devices. One is called the internal storage devices that we directly connect to the computer's motherboard. And other one, they are called the external storage devices. For example, the USB. USB, you just connect to a USB port. And the CD is also an external storage, right? These are the example of the external and internal storage. External devices are connected to computer's motherboard through parts and adapters on the computer exterior. We can connect using the parts and on the exterior of the computer such as a USB port. Types of storage devices. The first type of storage devices, we will discuss the hard disk now after this one. And so I will give you the overview here. Hard disk drive, HDD, contain hard disk media. These devices connect the disk to the motherboard either directly through a wireless adapter or a wired port. You can connect, there are three ways to connect the hard disk to the laptop, right? One is directly connect to the motherboard. Second one, you can connect it using a USB port. And the third one is you can have a Wi-Fi. You can just put it there and then you can connect your laptop to that hard disk using the Wi-Fi and store the data to that hard disk, like backup it, or just read the data from that hard disk. Then we have another type of hard disk called the SSD or solid state drive, also known as the flash drive, have flash memory media. Other than that, they are same as the hard disk. Here you can see the picture. This is the hard disk. They have the moving part. They have the disk. And this is the SSD. It doesn't have any moving part. It's made of the chips you can see here. That is the difference. Hard disk have a moving part, but SSD doesn't have any moving part. Next one is optical disk drive. This is the optical disk drive. This device is used to read data from the optical disks. The optical disk drive contain optical disk media. Newer drives are often compatible with the older media. For example, if you have the newer and optical disk drive, you can read the data from the CDs and the DVDs. But if you have the older one, you have the CD-ROM, you can only read data from the CD, but you won't be able to read data from DVDs or Blu-ray discs. For example, a disk drive can read Blu-ray media, can also read the DVD and the CD media. It's also known as the backward compatibility. CD-ROM can only read the CD data, but the Blu-ray, this is the newest one, Blu-ray drive can read the data from the Blu-ray disc, DVD disc, and from the CD disc. Now let's talk about the hard disk and the part of the hard disk. Hard disks are made up of many concentric platers. We have the different platers. It could be 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. There are many platers depending on the storage. This disk is called a plater. And these platers make up a cylinder that spins on a center spindle. This thing is called the spindle, and that disk is pin around this spindle. A read-write head moves on an arm across the tracks of the plater. This arm, this is called the read-write head. This thing move on this disk and read or write the data on that disk. The amount of time it takes to read or write head to access data on the track determined by how fast the cylinder or the plater spins and how fast the read-write head is moved across the tracks. And when reading, a read-write head changes the magnetic field into an electrical current. And when writing, it transforms electrical current into a magnetic field. That's how it works. The typical spin speed are the 5,400 revolution per minute or RPM, or maybe 7,200 RPM. This is the typical speed. And the hardest speed is measured in RPM, revolution per minute. The average seek time for a read-write head is 4 to 15 milliseconds. This is the average seek time for the read-write head to read data from the disk. Next type of storage media, we call it optical storage. This type of optical media includes the CD, DVD, and Blu-ray disc. There are three types of optical media. We have CD, DVD, and Blu-ray disc. CD stands for compact disc. CD can store up to 700 MB of data. So the data that you can store on this one disk is 700 MB. The data is written to the disk using a laser, which writes data to the plastic layer beneath the layer of aluminum and acrylic. That's how it works. Here is a fun fact. You can read this one. The Bill Gates showed how many data you can store on one CD in 1924. This much documents you can store on one CD. Next one is the DVD. DVD looks very much like the CD. They look same. Data is written to the DVD using a short wavelength of a red laser light, which allow the DVD to store more data. DVD can store more data than the CD. They can store data from 4.7 GB on a single side. DVD can be two-sided, right? On one side, we can store 4.7 GB of data. Data on double-sided dual-layer disk can store up to 18 GB data. On one disk, you can store up to 18 GB of data. Then we have the Blu-ray disc. Blu-ray discs are similar to CDs and DVDs, but it uses scratch protection coating. When you have a scratch on CD or the DVD, you won't be able to read the data, but the Blu-ray has one advantage that it is scratch. Even if you have some scratch on the disc, you can still read the data from that disc. Violet laser light is used to store data at greater density than the red laser light used in DVD. We use a violet laser light to store data on the Blu-ray disc. The Blu-ray optical storage can store up to 25 GB on a single side, and a double-sided disc can store up to 50 GB of data. You can store up to 50 GB of data on a Blu-ray disc. Next type of storage media is called the flash media and the magnetic tape. We're going to discuss these two in this slide. Flash media are more energy efficient than the hard disk, as they do not have any moving parts. This type of storage do not have any moving part. Like hard disk, they have a moving part. They have the cylinder, they have a read-write head, but this type of media doesn't have any moving parts. For the same reason, they are also less likely to fail when they are moved around. For example, if you have a hard disk and it fell down from your hand, it will break. It will not work. But this type of storage media, if it fell down, it will still work because it doesn't have any moving parts. This makes them suitable for the use in the portable devices. Magnetic tape was originally designed to record sound, but it is now also used to store data. We also use this one to store data. They do not have any moving parts. So this type of storage do not have any moving part. Okay, so like hard disk, they have a moving part. They have the cylinder, they have the reader head, so they have moving part. But this type of media doesn't have any moving parts. So for the same reason, they are also less likely to fail when they are moved around. So for example, if you have a hard disk and it fell down from your hand, so it will broke, it will not work. But this type of storage media, if it fell down, it will still work because it doesn't have any moving parts. This makes them suitable for the use in the portable devices. So magnetic tape was originally designed to record sound, but it is now also used to store data. So we also use this one to store data. So next slide we'll compare the different types of the storage media. Okay, so here we have the different media, for example, hard disk, flash media, optical media, and magnetic tape. And here is the criteria. Based on this criteria, we are going to compare them. For example, data access speed, maximum capacity, cost per GB, use, and portability. Okay, so let's first talk about the hard disk. Hard disk data access speed is fast. Okay, so the maximum capacity varies up to 128 GB. Okay, and the cost per GB is high, and used in server or the personal computers or for the backup. The portability, no, not suitable portable because it has the moving parts, right? Next type of storage media is called the flash media. The data access speed is fastest one. Okay, so what about the capacity? So it's up to many TBs, terabytes. Okay, cost per GB very high. These days is low, it's not very high because usually we have this type of media. So where we use the flash media is used in the laptop and mobile phones. Portability, yes, we can use it as a portable media because it does not have any moving part. Then we have the optical storage. Okay, optical media. So optical media data access speed is slow. The maximum capacity. So we have three different optical media, right? We have CD, DVD, and Blu-ray. So CD can store up to 700 MB, DVD can store up to 18 GB, and Blu-ray can store up to 50 GB. Okay, cost per GB is medium, and where we used for the multimedia, music, games, and films and file backup. So we usually use those to store the movies or maybe games or for the backup. So is it suitable for the portability? No, it's not suitable because why? Because it can easily break. It's made out of the plastic, right? And also CD and DVD are not scratch proof. If there's a scratch on the disc, you won't be able to read the data. Next one is the magnetic tape. So this one is the slowest one. The speed is slow, data access speed is slow. The maximum capacity is like up to 185 terabytes. It's very high, okay, and also varies. Cost per GB is the lowest one, and use, so the whole system backup and the archive. You can use this one to back up your whole system. If you have a very large data, then you can use those things because they're cheap and you can back up your data on this one. For the portability, no, they are not suitable for the portability. So to summarize everything, the hard disk changes the magnetic charge of a platter to either negative or positive depending on whether the value is 0 or 1. Optical media use tiny bumps on the disk surface to represent 0 or 1. Flash media uses different level of electrical charge held in tiny individual cells to represent 0 and 1. Magnetic tapes changes the magnetic charge of the tape to either negative or positive depending on whether the value is 0 or 1. So that's it. We are done with the unit 1. In the next video we start the unit 2, which is about the software. So see you in the next class and have a good day. Bye.